A brand new £38 million centre-back in David Hanko has added some much-needed experience and class to the West Ham defence, and the fans will be hoping that experience can lead us to our very first piece of silverware this season as the Europa League knockouts begins. But as ever, if you're enjoying the series so far, please feel free to like and subscribe, and let's get into today's episode. And of course, we will be starting out with your comments. I think signing another striker would be smart because you only have Gyökeres, and then maybe add another centre-back. Doesn't need to be outstanding, just a squad player to fill in when necessary. Love the videos. Well, as always, thank you very much. I do really appreciate the compliments and your suggestions. And you're absolutely right. After the departure of this man Ep6 to Liverpool and the arrival of this man David Hanko, it leaves me with just three senior centre-backs. This 27-year-old Slovakian. I've got Mavropanos as well. And finally, I've got the new signing Ousmane Diomande, who just came in the summer. But of course, with me fighting on three different fronts in the Premier League, in the early stages of the FA Cup, and of course in the knockout rounds of the Europa League, and with me still having £51 million left to spend, I absolutely agree with you. We might need to bring in one more player in that position if we want to fight on all fronts. However, with the arrival of David Hanko and him cementing himself as my number one choice centre-back, and hopefully with him forming a formidable partnership going forward with the exciting prospect, the 21-year-old Ousmane Diomande, I don't really want to bring in an absolutely massive name who potentially is going to come in and stunt his development. So instead, I'm going to go for someone who many of you have recommended to me time after time after time again, and finally, you are going to get your wish, because he's a man who's entering his prime years, has got numerous appearances in the Premier League for Fulham. He's now moving across the way to the other side of London to join the West Ham Revolution as we welcome Tosin Adarabioyo for £17.25 million. At 79 rated, he's not going to immediately come in and disrupt the hopeful partnership that I'm going to establish between the likes of David Hanko and Ousmane Diomande. However, with him having Premier League experience and him entering his prime years, I think he can be a fantastic backup. Judging from his training and development plan, he's still got lots of time to learn and improve his stats, and I'm really glad to be bringing someone to the club who's been on my shortlist since day one of taking over at West Ham United. We need to keep James Ward-Prowse at the club until at least 2026. He's a great set-piece taker and passer that you'll never find anyone better. The GOAT. Yeah, so since the departure of Kurt Zouma, James Ward-Prowse has taken up the mantle of being club captain here at West Ham United. However, with him being 30 years of age and only 80 rated, I have been saying for a few transfer windows now that I might need to look for an improvement in this area of the pitch. And whilst I did bring in Kiernan Dewsbury-Hall in the summer, he's taken a little bit of time to adapt to life here in West Ham United colours, and he certainly hasn't been able to displace this man James Ward-Prowse in the heart of my midfield. However, whilst I've mentioned I might want to consider looking for an upgrade long term for this man, as you will soon see, in spite of his lowly rating in my midfield, he still plays an absolutely pivotal role for me, as he is in charge of absolutely every free kick, and the amount of goals that we have scored from these positions has clearly reflected his importance so far, not just in this season but the entire career mode at West Ham United. So trust me, in spite of me potentially wanting to bring in a longer term replacement for him as the career mode progresses, I have absolutely no intentions of selling him, especially bearing in mind he still has 2.5 years left on his contract. James Ward-Prowse not only will remain at West Ham United for the foreseeable future, but he will stay the club captain. An idea for a central midfielder might be Tian Koopmeiners. He has requested a challenge away from Atalanta at the end of this season in the real world and has started to establish himself as a first choice pick in the Dutch national team, contributing with a few big goals and strong performances. So on the subject of looking potentially for a long-term replacement for James Ward-Prowse, it's another huge name that I can add to this ever-growing shortlist. This man, Tian Koopmeiners, at 26 years of age and 84 rated, absolutely would be a huge improvement in my midfield, and he offers us the same level of versatility that James Ward-Prowse does, being able to play in central midfield, central attacking midfield, and central defensive midfield as well. However, with him now playing for Atletico Madrid in this career mode, would he want to move to West Ham United at this point in his career? Having said that, with us fighting for Champions League qualification in the Premier League so far this season, who knows if the players are able to pull off that feat? It may be enough to encourage the Dutch international to join the West Ham Revolution. As an option up top to feed off the physical presence of the big Swede and also to contribute with some pace and physicality to the dynamic play style, Iñaki Williams could be an interesting option, a player who's always been touted with a move to the Prem, a move that hasn't yet happened. I do think Duvlakas could offer a cheap and effective squad player role for the ageing and retiring Antony Goat. So yes, I mentioned several times so far this season, in spite of Victor Gyökeres being my number one man up front and now being up to an 85 rated, he hasn't exactly set the world alight in front of goal. However, following on from your suggestions from the last episode, switching away from this 4-2-3-1 formation with him as the sole striker, moving to a more 4-2-2-2 system, allowing Jared Bowen to come in that false nine position he played so well in the first part of season 1, and giving this man Gyökeres a much needed striking partner. I feel like his stats and his performances have drastically improved, and he's now got 8 goals and 5 assists in 23 appearances in all competitions. However, with Michail Antonio retiring at the end of the season at 34 years of age and now down to 70, you're absolutely right. I am certainly going to need another striker to come in the summer transfer window. I think Tassos Louvikias is a very interesting shout. He's someone who's actually been recommended a few different times by several of you, and at 77 rated, he certainly would come in and probably play second fiddle to Gyökeres. But with him being 25 years of age, he's still entering his prime. He's got his best years ahead of him, and with Celta Vigo only wanting £15 million for him, he certainly wouldn't break the bank either. You're absolutely correct. One man, though, who I hadn't considered whatsoever, as you can tell by the fact that I haven't even scouted him yet, is this man, Iñaki Williams. He's absolutely lighting up La Liga in real life, and you are totally right. He has been touted several times with a move to the big leagues in the Premier League, and I'm sure he would absolutely light up English football as well. However, with him being 30 years of age, and with me generally trying to bring down the overall age of the squad based on some of the signings that I've made thus far in this career mode, he would be a very sharp move away from my current transfer policy. However, let me see what the scouts have got to say. Perhaps, if he is that good rated on this game, he might be someone that I have to consider at the start of the summer transfer window. But now, though, moving our attention back to the Premier League, and with us fighting for our lives for that final Champions League spot, sitting in third place with just Liverpool and Spurs above us in second and first respectively, it is going to be the Giants from Anfield whom we're going to be facing off up against next in our very next game at the London Stadium in front of our home fans. Once again, it's an absolutely titanic clash at the top of the table, and one that I'm sure will have long-lasting ramifications for both teams' fight for Champions League qualification this season. And with a little bit of fatigue creeping into my squad, I have made 3 major changes to the team that beat Leicester City at the back end of the last episode. Eze comes back into midfield on the left-hand side in place of Savio, drops to the bench. Emerson comes in at left back in place of Tierney. But the big story is that Adarabioyo will come in to make his debut against a huge rival of ours as he starts at the back alongside our other new signing, David Hanko. It's going to be that man, David Hanko, who's going to try and bring the ball out of defence. He's run into a bit of a cul-de-sac of problems there, but he's managed to wriggle away from it really nicely, and he's just looking for options, can't quite find any, so he's just going to go alone. My word, the centre-back all the way into the edge of the box here. Can he cut it back in place of Gyökeres? Unfortunately enough for Liverpool, Joe Gomez just about managed to get a toe to that, but my word, what an electric start from David Hanko, eager to put in a fabulous performance here in front of his home fans. As James Ward-Prowse throws it into the box using that set-piece phenomenon that he's oh so famous for, and now he's going to get it back over again and try and flip it back in once again, this time looking for Edson Alvarez at the back post. Can't quite find him. Eze wins the header, and now Van Eyck will play it down the line into Kudus. It's been a fabulous start here so far for West Ham. Kudus to float it back in, and Alisson makes a bit of a meal of that one, but does manage to get the second ball, punches it out for another West Ham corner. And once again, the set-piece master, James Ward-Prowse, is going to be the man on hand to take it. Float it in, looking for the big Swede, and it's a big head. Straight into the arms of Alisson, though, but my word, we are testing the Brazilian early doors here. Adarabioyo into Eze on the left-hand side, and Eze tries to play a lovely ball through to Emerson, but it was read really nicely by Joe Gomez, who's put in a couple of really important blocks so far for Liverpool in the opening few moments of this game. It's Adarabioyo with a crunching challenge on Mo Salah. The referee played advantage. I thought he won the ball well, to be fair. Stevenson now out to Curtis Jones in the centre of the park. McAllister now has it, dribbles away from a couple of challenges. Diogo Jota now tries to go past David Hanko, but the big man is in the right place at the right time. Really good defending from him. Areola floats it over to Emerson on the left-hand side, unmarked, took it down really nicely, plays it into Eze. Eze with a one-touch into James Ward-Prowse, tried to play it through, but Joe Gomez yet again is in the right place at the right time, and now Mo Salah can bring this one forward. Emerson frantically trying to get back to try and cover him off. Does do just about enough. Eze will pick it up. Now into Gyökeres, who's going to try and see if he can flick this one over, but once again, this time another Liverpool player is in the right place at the right time. Mo Salah just dinks it away from the challenge of Alvarez, lines up a strike. Areola with a flying save, and it goes off for a Liverpool corner, and it's one that the danger man Mo Salah is going to take, and it looks like he's going to go short with it. He does go short into Luis Diaz now. Eze, though, came across with a big block, and it fell right into the path of Jared Bowen, who took it on really nicely now, but he doesn't have any options up ahead of him. I'm frantically trying to see if any of my attacking players can make their way up the pitch, but Jared Bowen does just about enough to hold it off, looking for the ball through to Gyökeres, who made the run, but once again, the Liverpool defence read it well. Well, Liverpool have got a free kick here in a dangerous area. It looks like it's going to be Jota who's going to just lay this on a plate to Mo Salah, and I thought they were going to do a little bit more with that and throw it into the box, but in the end, they've wasted it, and Jared Bowen has won it back in a really dangerous position, and he plays it down the line into Mohamed Kudus, who surely has the pace now to get away from Matchday, and he does. He's going to try and fly all the way, but the Liverpool defender, those two centre-backs have been on absolute fire so far here today. It's Robertson here on the left-hand side at the start of the second half. Gives it to Luis Diaz down the line. That's a really good ball. Toss it out of Adarabioyo on a yellow card here after that challenge on Mo Salah, which I thought was a fair challenge now. Has to be very careful, though, here in the second half. Doesn't want to give away any silly fouls to put us in a dangerous position, but he's done a really good job there, calm and collected to bring the ball out of defence. And Jarrod Bowen, I was looking for the ball through, and I just didn't quite manage to find the right one to Kudos. The ball was on, and we just couldn't find the final pass in the final third. And that has been a real problem for us so far this season. But Van Ewig wins it back in a really good position. Plays it into Jarrod Bowen, out to Kudos. Now we're going to try and see if we can make amends here. Kudos into the box, looking for the cutback, finds the cutback into Gyökeres. It's blocked off by Eze, and in the end it's a diving header away. I think it was Joe Gomez who once again was in the right place at the right time, as Liverpool just about managed to clear their lines. Curtis Jones into Jota. Jota's picked up a really nice pocket of space here, and he's got a ball on the left-hand side, but doesn't manage to use it. Instead, McAllister does into Diaz, who manages to get there ahead of Van Ewig. Tossing out Adebayo, doesn't come across enough, and Areola is forced into a very smart stop. Well, 0-0 the scoreline remains. Liverpool have a corner here in the 65th minute, and this is anyone's to win here. Two teams that are very evenly matched. It's a locked stalemate here as Tosin Adebayo once again showing fantastic composure at the back to just bring that one away from defence here. And my two centre-backs have been absolutely fantastic so far here today. As Somerville now on as a substitute picks it up. Lovely ball into Edson Alvarez, who finds himself in an advanced position. Can he play through? It's a wonderful ball into the left-back. Emerson to make himself a hero, puts it wide. Stevenson for Liverpool. This game really starting to open up here, and it's a lovely ball out to Mo Salah, who's going to go one-on-one with David Hanko. That is brilliant defending, and exactly the sort of reason why I decided to bring him in on big money here in the January transfer window, as our other centre-back new signing has played fantastically as well. Alvarez now manages to get away from a couple of challenges, plays it into Somerville on as a sub. Antonio is also on as a sub, into the box to play it across into Gyökeres, and Gyökeres scores surely the winner here in the 85th minute at the back post unmarked, and that just goes to show exactly why it was the right decision to move to a system that allowed me to play two up front. The fans got absolutely wild, and it's not hard to see why. Antonio, in his last season at the club, once again stepping up when I needed him to. He was unselfish, laid it on a plate for the big Swede, and he could not miss from there. Fabulous to see him back in the scoring books. It's 1-0 West Ham United. Van Ewig now into Antonio once again, and once again we've opened up this Liverpool defence at will, and this time it's James Ward-Prowse. Liverpool have completely switched off, and oh my word, it's 2 goals in 2 minutes here at the London Stadium, and the West Ham fans and players alike have gone absolutely crazy. There is limbs in the stands. It is unbelievable. Antonio was involved yet again to get his second assist after coming on as a sub. He laid it on a plate for James Ward-Prowse, and the Liverpool defence that has been so solid so far in this game in the last 5 minutes has completely fallen apart. James Ward-Prowse, our captain, gets our second. It's 2-0 West Ham United. And that is all she wrote here at the London Stadium. In Liverpool's attempt to try and press forward and get a winner, they left themselves exposed at the back at the worst possible time. That man, Michail Antonio, absolutely ripped them to shreds. 2 assists to his name in a fabulous performance that sees us pick up 3 points at full time. It finishes 2-0. Well, you're absolutely right. Anthony Goat is the perfect name for the 34-year-old Jamaican. A fabulous performance, and he really just goes to show what the West Ham United fans are going to miss when he retires at the end of the season. He rolls back the years with a fabulous performance that has not just the fans but the press absolutely rolling over themselves to give him praise for. And I'll tell you what, forget about Champions League qualification. With that win helping us leapfrog Liverpool into second place, we now just sit 2 points behind our arch-rival Spurs. Is a title challenge on the cards for West Ham United this season? And who knows, maybe an FA Cup charge will be on the horizon as well, as we beat Millwall 2-0 in the third round of the FA Cup. And the wins are coming thick and fast. This time it's 3-0 at home, back in the Premier League as we beat Fulham. And the good times roll on as we secure another clean sheet and another 3-0 battering, this time away from home against Leicester City, back in the FA Cup, as we secure our path through to the next round. But frustratingly, that positive run of results comes to a crashing halt, as despite an early Jarrod Bowen goal, we succumb to 2 goals in the second half, meaning that we pick up our first loss of this episode so far away from home against Aston Villa, who beat us 2-1. But we show great character to get back on track. 2 goals of our own in the second half after going 1 down early doors means that we get back on winning ways. 2-1 at home against Brighton. A sucker punch from Bournemouth in the final 10 minutes of the game really takes the wind out of our sails though, as we succumb to another loss, this time 3-2 away from home. But once again we respond very well. 3-1 at home against Coventry City, and a 1-1 draw against Leicester City away from home, with Tosin Adebayo getting his first goal in a West Ham shirt brings an end to what has been an incredible run of games. It just goes to show though how tight things are at the top of the Premier League, with just 5 points separating us and Manchester City, the top 4 teams, after 26 games played. However, as you can see, we have dropped down to 4th with a couple of losses in that run of games, but with the wins that we've had, we've managed to establish a 9-point gap between ourselves and Aston Villa as we look to establish Champions League football for the first time in West Ham United's history. But after a disappointing end to our FA Cup run last season, it's once again time to turn our attentions back to the famous English Cup competition. This time though, we're going to be heading across the way in London to our arch rivals Chelsea at Stamford Bridge in what is going to be a huge clash, and one that we are going to be very hard pressed to win. Can we get the job done? Let's find out. And as you can see, it's a return to my usual starting 11. Areola in goal, Van Eyck, Diamande, Hanko and Tierney at the back, James Ward-Prowse, Alvarez, Kudos and Eze in midfield, Gyökeres and Jarrod Bowen up front. Jarrod Bowen wins it back high and plays it into Kudos early doors here inside the opening 5 minutes. We seem like we've started off this game exactly as I would want us to. As Fofana heads it clear, only out as far as James Ward-Prowse, who wins the ball back, but in the end Caicedo just about manages to get on the loose ball before he does. And now look at Alvarez frantically coming across with a huge lunging challenge, doesn't manage to win it back. Chelsea bring it clear into my half, and Marlon plays a lovely ball into an unmarked James Ward-Prowse here. Hanko's going to try and come across and put a challenge in, and that is exactly the sort of challenge and cool, calm defending you would expect from the experienced Slovakian. Exactly why I brought him to the club, as Jarrod Bowen now feeds in Gyökeres, who finds himself running down the left-hand channel here. Has he got the time and space to pick out James Ward-Prowse? Yes, he does. The Englishman doesn't have the pace to get into the box, but he's taken out from behind by Fofana. And it looks like it's right on the edge of the box here. And this is the perfect position for the set-piece master, James Ward-Prowse, to step up and show what he can do. Here we go then, James Ward-Prowse with a wonderful opportunity here to try and bury this one into the top left-hand corner. I'm going to step up. It's a bit of a shot here. I haven't taken it very well, and unfortunately James Ward-Prowse's ability is not reflected by my own. And now it looks like Gyökeres is straight offside in what was a huge wasted opportunity. Reece James. Oh, the pressure from Victor Gyökeres, and James Ward-Prowse is enough to put Chelsea off their stride, and the big Swede doesn't really have anywhere to go, so he's going to take it all the way by himself. Looks for the cut back into Jarrod Bowen, who takes it really nicely, feeds it onto his left, but in the end it's just bundled out of play here. Chelsea just about managing to get enough players back, but my word, they are living life on the edge here in the opening 25 minutes. It's Reece James down the right hand side. This time it's Kieran Tierney with a lovely challenge. He's going to bring it down the left hand side, feeds it into Eze. Eze has options in the box if he can find them. He finds the big Swede, lays it on a play for Jarrod Bowen, who smashes it into the back of the net with his left foot, and that is a perfect West Ham goal if I've ever seen one. Well, we've done exactly what I wanted us to do, pressing high, winning the ball back in a dangerous position, and now my two strikers linking up perfectly. Gyökeres laying it on a plate for Jarrod Bowen, who has once again come alive, playing in that more central position, that false 9 system. It seems to work perfectly for him on this career mode, and long may it continue. 1-0. Mene Diamande into Hanko, who's been an absolute fabulous addition to the club since joining only a couple of months ago, and James Ward-Prowse does the dance around the Chelsea midfield here. They are at 6s and 7s at the back at the moment. They do not know where to play or where on earth to go, as James Ward-Prowse is just waltzing his way through into Jarrod Bowen. He's got options in the middle if he can find them. Kudos lays it off to Alvarez, who tries to line up the strike. In the end, it's bundled off, but Eze will pick up the loose ball, feeds it out to Kieran Tierney on the left-hand side here. He's going to try and see if he can look for an option, tries to see if he can float a ball into Eze. It's really nicely done across the box. This time Disasi just about gets in the way, but my word, Chelsea have been so poor so far this game, and that is all my word. I thought Kudos was going to win that ball back high. Chelsea, though, just about get away with one there. Caicedo for Chelsea, out wide to the right-hand side into Reece James. Reece James just goes past Eze like he's not even there, and that's a really powerful run from the Englishman now. Tierney comes across, though, with a big challenge. Chelsea have a throw-in a very dangerous position here, and of course that man Reece James is going to take. It's down into Marlon. Marlon, where on earth is he going? He's going central, finds a nice ball into Caicedo, who's twisting away from a couple of challenges into Nkunku, blocked off by Hanko exactly as I would want him to. It's now Pellegrini, though, blocked off by Hanko again. Chelsea have a corner. Well, they've started off this second half far better than they ended the first. They're an absolute shambles in the opening 45 minutes, but they just had a really decent opportunity there that they didn't manage to take advantage of. And Areola says thank you very much. James Ward-Prowse tries to thread it through, manages to find Jarrod Bowen, who looks like he's picked up a little bit of an injury there, which I hope that's not a serious one, as Nkunku now picks it up in a dangerous position, and Pellegrini has options up ahead of him. He's being tracked down by James Ward-Prowse, but manages to get away. But that man Hanko, once again, he's not put a foot wrong since joining in January. He's been absolutely fantastic. As look at the big Swede, Victor Gyökeres has the pace to get into the box here, and he's got the wherewithal to just put it into the back of the net. He made it look so simple, and that was an absolutely lightning counter-attack from one end of the field to the other. It was just too easy though to play straight through Chelsea. Gyökeres just got onto the loose ball and just flicked it forward, and the Chelsea defence are just too slow, couldn't get close to the big Swede, and that is exactly the sort of composure you've come to expect from him. Lovely finish, lovely way to put us 2-0 up here. Well, with Jarrod Bowen picking up an injury, once again it's time for Michail Antonio to come on to rapturous West Ham support to hopefully see if he can make even more of an impact here today. It's Reece James for Chelsea. Into Caicedo. Just over 10 minutes plus stoppage time remaining for the West London club to try and see if they can find a way back into this game. And so far, they've been pretty hopeless in the final third, it must be said. Enzo Fernandez, though, twisting away from a couple of challenges. He's done a really good job there, but he cannot get past the absolute man mountain of Ousmane Diomande. And now Soucek to play it through into Gyökeres. Surely, once again, the big Swede's going to get his second of the game. He's got time to pick out his spot, and he's done just that. And we say thank you very much as we march on through to the next round of the FA Cup. It's a 3-0 battering here on their own turf at Stamford Bridge of Chelsea, who have been an absolute disaster here today. One ball through once again, completely cut the Chelsea defence in half, and Gyökeres had the time to slow down in the box, pick his spot, and my word, he did just that. It's too easy once again to get through the Chelsea defence. 3-0 West Ham. Reece James going to go down the left-hand side. He's still not giving this one up, though. And lovely little ball into the box. Diomande, though, with another big header away. That man and Hanko have been absolutely brilliant. His performances have totally had liftoff since the Slovakian joined. And just as I say that, he goes and gives the ball away. But Hanko, my word, recovers for his partner. My goodness, clearly he was listening to me and perhaps the words went to his head. Fortunately enough, though, it didn't worry because Gyökeres netted a brace and he helped us secure a 3-0 victory against Chelsea. And in even better news, Jarrod Bowen's injury is not a big one, only out for 5 days, and we breathe a sigh of relief. Unfortunately enough, that does give him enough time to get fit for an all-important game back in Europe, in the Europa League to be more precise, as we are going to be facing off in our very next game against Seville in the first leg of the round of 16. It's the place in the competition that we got knocked out of by another Spanish team in Real Sociedad last season, and we're going to be hoping to seek our revenge here in Spain and hopefully put ourselves in a commanding position heading into the next leg. Guendouzi now for Seville in the opening 5 minutes here as the Spanish team look to start off this game in fine form, as now Montiel down the right side. Hanko tries to come across, doesn't do a good enough job, and O'Reilly at the back post has caught his cold. Van Ewig was asleep, and my word, that was a thumping volley inside the opening 5 minutes to completely take us by surprise. And perhaps there's just something about this point in the competition that we really struggle with. We just totally fell asleep at the back after all the positive work against Chelsea, and there is no stopping that. Just on the edge of the 6-yard box. That is an unbelievable volley. Areola had absolutely no chance whatsoever. Seville lead 1-0. Well, my word, that is not the start we wanted here whatsoever. A really, really poor way to start what is going to be a very, very important game. We have to put ourselves in a decent position. We do not want a repeat of what happened last season against Real Sociedad in a competition that I'm confident we can win. As Gyökeres plays it into James Ward-Prowse into Jarrod Bowen. It flicks off against the defender for a corner. Well, this is a good response here from West Ham in the opening 7 minutes. We've got to try and see if we can find our heads here. And James Ward-Prowse is going to look to try and find a header. Diomande off the bar. My word, I thought that was going to be the equaliser straight away. But the woodwork held firm, and Seville's defence also held firm. And now Campos is going to try and bring this one away. Fighting with Van Ewig down this right-hand side, cuts back inside, finds Guendouzi into O'Reilly, the goal scorer. And Areola is forced into a save. End-to-end stuff here in the opening 15 minutes. Montiel into a Campos. Every single time these two teams go forward, they look like they're going to score, as Van Ewig with a nice little piece of defending and really, really good stuff to get away from a couple of challenges now. And he tries to see if he can drift down this right-hand side and feed a ball right the way over into the path of the big Swede, who's fighting with the centre-back, but in the end, they just about managed to win it. And Seville will bring the ball clear into Luke Bacchio, I believe that's how you pronounce his name, down this right-hand side. Checks it back to the right-back, Montiel. Seville playing some really nice football right on the edge of their own half here, as Matt O'Reilly almost loses it in a dangerous position. But they just about managed to just play their way out of my press here. They've managed to keep hold of the ball, and now Luke Bacchio has managed to get it away from Kieran Tierney. And now he drives into the box here, manages to get away from my defenders. He's still got the ball. Has the chance been gone, though? He was doing some flicks and trying to do some tricks, too many. And he's just wasted a massive opportunity there for Seville. And now Gyökeres to bring it away into the Brazilian Savio, who hasn't really had too much of a look in so far in this episode, but he's going to hopefully try and see if he can make a change to that. Into the box, he goes off the post. Oh my goodness, both times these teams have gone forward. They look like they're going to score each way. This was the Diomande header. which was halfway over the line. Oh my word, just inches in that one. But now we've hit the woodwork twice. Guendouzi, the former Arsenal man, into a Campos down the left-hand side. Matt O'Reilly, the goal scorer, lovely ball into Conor Gallagher, littered with former Premier League players, and it's played into Lubakio, and I've just got to hope. It looks like the linesman, is he going to flag offside? No, he doesn't. Seville have doubled their lead here after totally playing their way through my defence once again. Well, I thought perhaps more in hope rather than anything else that they had just strayed offside, but you can clearly see Tierney is playing him on by a country mile. Oh, too easy once again for the Seville strikers to get into my penalty area. And once again, Areola had absolutely no chance whatsoever. It's 2-0. Conor Gallagher for Seville. We just seem to have fallen apart so far here today. All over the place. This is not like I've seen us play so far in this episode. Once again, Seville have a really good opportunity now. Campos down the left-hand side into the box. Van Awijk, though, with a big challenge. A much-needed challenge right on the stroke of half-time. We try and clear our lines to Eze here as the referee looks to his clock and blows the whistle. Well, shell-shocked. That is all I can say about the performance and the state of mind of these West Ham players after the opening 45 minutes. A total miscommunication at the back both times, and it's just too easy for Seville to get through my defence. And look at this, they're trying to do it again here at the start of the second half. Campos now down the left-hand side. Van Awijk can't put the challenge in. They keep hold of the ball on the edge of the box. This time the Dutchman does eventually manage to get a challenge in, and now Gyökeres can try and bring it away, but he can't do anything to get out of his own half. Hanko isn't able to put a challenge in, and Lubakio once again forces Areola into a flying save. Well, what is going on here in Spain? We just cannot seem to find our feet. We had the same problem against Real Sociedad last season, and it seems like the Spanish curse is continuing. Lovely little flick back into Guendouzi over to the right-hand side, but Tierney won that one well, and now he can try and see if he can bring that one out of defence, but then just goes and runs it out of play. Lubakio now into Guendouzi, turns away, tries to get away from Diomande, feeds it into the box. Van Awijk with a huge interception, but it looks like, has he gone and given away a penalty? No, I think it is just going to be a free kick here for Seville, but it is still going to be in a very dangerous position here, and once again it's going to be that man Lubakio to dummy it. He's taking it to O'Reilly, the goal scorer, and that is absolutely perfect. That is the best goal of the lot, and it's the two goal scorers who have combined to bamboozle my defence once again. Well, I thought Lubakio was going to take it, the dummy threw me off, and then O'Reilly, I mean, pick this one out. Once again, Areola, for the third time this episode, can do nothing about that one. Off the post and in. And Seville, have they already, with just the first leg being played, put themselves in such a commanding position to head through to the second round? Robinson to bring it forward. Into Evan Elson. Flows it over to the left-hand side into a Campos, though, who's blocked off. No, he's not blocked off by Van Awijk. Defensively, we've been so poor here today. Lubakio into O'Reilly yet again. Those two combining into a Campos. It's 4. My defence has been completely and utterly ripped apart for the 4th time this game. What is going on with West Ham United? The defence that I've been absolutely raving about so far this episode has completely fallen apart, and Seville have given themselves a commanding 4-0 lead. Well, this has been an absolute horror show. Total and utter farce of a performance, and something that has totally gone against the grain from our performances so far here in Season 2, as Seville are going to look to try and see if they can put the icing on the cake here and get a 5th maybe, as Hanko can do nothing to try and get the ball back off of Lubakio, who's completely run the show in midfield. Eventually Kieran Tierney manages to, and now Savio to bring it away, plays it into the path of James Ward-Prowse, who just about manages to keep hold of the ball here, plays it down the channel into Gyökeres. Can we try and see if we can get a consolation in this game here? Gyökeres across the box into Kudos on as a substitute, who plays it into the back of the net, and at least that gives us 1 goal heading into the second leg. The frustrating thing is, this is what I know my players are capable of, and that is a really good move, it must be said, and Gyökeres laid it on a plate for Kudos, but it's just too little too late as far as I'm concerned. Where has this been for the rest of the 85 minutes that we've played so far? 4-1. Guendouzi for Seville. We are deep into stoppage time here as the Spanish team look to try and see if they can add a 5th here to well and truly end this game, but the referee has other ideas and decides to end it himself and put us out of our misery. Well, we travel to Spain in a bid to try and seek revenge for our terrible performances in this round of the Cup competition last season against Spanish opposition, but the Spanish curse once again seems to have run right over us once more. Full time here it finishes Seville 4, West Ham 1. Well, we got a consolation, but that is all it is. It now requires us to get 3 3 goals at home to at least bring these scores level, and the media are now suggesting that I've rushed Bowen back too soon, and that was potentially something to blame for the result. And yes, some might say he wasn't exactly at the races and he wasn't performing at his usual high level, but I'm sure the same could be said for the rest of the team. A shambolic performance, and I've got to hope next episode we pull ourselves together, as that is going to be that for the end of today's episode. Thank you everyone for watching, hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you again next time.